Mark's reflection twisted into a monstrous grin and spoke. "You should not have come here, Mark." Frozen in terror, he heard, "Now you are mine." Mark broke free, running from the attic as eerie laughter followed him. Outside, gasping for breath, he realized the true horror was just beginning. The entity was now in his mind. On a crisp autumn evening, Sarah, an aspiring paranormal investigator, received a Snapchat message from an unknown account called Spirit Seeker. The message had only one sentence: "Waverly Manor, tonight at midnight." Sarah was intrigued and unable to resist the allure of a new adventure, so she decided to visit the abandoned Waverly Manor on the outskirts of town. She prepared her supplies, which included her phone, a high-quality camera, a flashlight, and a spirit box. Waverly Manor had a dark past. Built in the late 1800s, it was once a grand estate, but had fallen into disrepair following a series of mysterious deaths. Locals whispered about the restless spirits that haunted its halls, and few dared to approach it after dark. Sarah, on the other hand, saw it as an excellent opportunity to gain credibility in the paranormal community and grow her channel's subscriber base. As she approached the manor, the air became colder, and an eerie silence fell over the area. The grand, decaying structure loomed before her, its windows shattered and its once majestic facade overgrown with ivy and moss. Sarah began her live stream by narrating her journey to her viewers, who eagerly tuned in to watch. "All right, guys, we've arrived at Waverly Manor. The energy here is high. Let's see if we can make contact with any spirits tonight," Sarah said, her voice filled with both excitement and fear. She pushed open the heavy, creaking front door and walked inside. The interior was a haunting sight, with dust-covered furniture, broken chandeliers, and faded portraits of the manor's former residents. Sarah's flashlight created long shadows on the walls, adding to the unsettling atmosphere. She explored the first floor, meticulously documenting each room, and discovered strange symbols carved into the walls. As she moved deeper into the manor, she became increasingly uneasy. Her viewers, sensing her discomfort, flooded the chat with messages of encouragement and caution. Suddenly, her phone vibrated with a notification from Spirit Seeker. "The basement holds the truth." Sarah's heart raced as she found the basement door. She walked down the narrow, rickety staircase, her flashlight flickering. The basement was cold and damp, full of rotting furniture and cobwebs. She set up her spirit box and hoped to make contact. "Is there anyone here with me?" she inquired, her voice trembling. The spirit box emitted static, followed by a faint, distorted voice. "Leave. Now." Sarah's viewers were captivated and encouraged her to continue. She took a deep breath before asking another question. "Why would I leave?" "Who are you?" The response was immediate and chilling. "Trapped forever." Suddenly, her phone's battery started to drain quickly. The screen dimmed and the flashlight flickered out. Sarah was plunged into darkness, hearing whispers and feeling cold breath on her neck. She attempted to turn on her camera, but it malfunctioned. Panic set in when she realized she wasn't alone. Sarah, desperate to escape, fumbled her way back to the staircase, but the door slammed shut behind her. Her phone vibrated again, this time with a message from Spirit Seeker. "You shouldn't have come." Terrified, she pounded on the door, screaming for help, but there was no response. The whispers became louder, and she felt a cold grip on her arm. In a final desperate effort, she managed to pry the door open and scramble up the stairs. She didn't stop running until she arrived outside, gasping for air. Sarah reviewed her footage the next day. The majority of it was corrupted, but a few frames revealed a ghostly figure standing behind her in the basement. Her viewers were horrified, and the video quickly became popular. Sarah deleted her account because she couldn't shake the feeling she was being watched. Months later, she received a new message from Spirit Seeker. "We are not done." She blocked the account, but the fear persisted. Sarah never returned to Waverly Manor, and the haunted estate legend grew as a result of her terrifying encounter. Mark was a technologically savvy college student who enjoyed urban legends and ghost stories. One evening, while browsing Snapchat, he received a message from a friend containing a link to a story about an old mirror that is said to be cursed. According to legend, anyone who looked into a mirror at midnight would see an entity that would haunt them forever. Mark, who is always up for a challenge, decided to investigate. He located the mirror, which was stored in the attic of an old abandoned mansion on the outskirts of town. The mansion had been vacant for decades, and locals were familiar with stories of its haunting. Mark was skeptical and eager to disprove the legend. He gathered his belongings, including his phone, a high-resolution camera, and a powerful flashlight, and headed for the mansion. The mansion was a bleak sight, its once grand exterior decayed and overgrown with vines. Mark began his live stream as he approached, explaining his intentions to his viewers. "Tonight, we'll put the cursed mirror legend to the test. Let us see if there is any truth to this." He forced open the front door and entered the dark, musty interior. The mansion was filled with relics of its past, broken furniture, faded photographs, and an eerie silence. Mark made his way to the attic, his footsteps echoing through the empty hallways. The attic was cluttered with old, dusty items, but the mirror stood out right away. It was large and ornate, with a gilded frame and a reflective surface that appeared to shimmer in the low light. Mark set up his camera and checked his phone's time. It was 11:55 p.m. "All right, guys, the moment of truth is almost here," Mark said, his excitement palpable. "In 5 minutes, we'll see if this mirror really is cursed." As the clock struck midnight, Mark stared into the mirror, expecting something to happen. Initially, there was nothing unusual. He only saw his reflection and the cluttered attic behind him. But then the room appeared to become colder, and a faint, whispering sound filled the air. Mark's reflection began to distort, his face stretching and twisting into an eerie shape. He took a step back in surprise, but his reflection remained in the mirror, grinning menacingly. The whispers intensified, and the mirror's surface rippled like water. Suddenly, the reflection spoke. "You should not have come here, Mark." Mark's heart pounded when he realized the reflection recognized his name. He attempted to turn away, but his body was frozen in place. The figure in the mirror continued to speak. "Now you are mine." With a burst of willpower, Mark broke free and stumbled backward, knocking over a stack of boxes. He grabbed his phone and camera and ran from the attic, the entity's laughter echoing in his ears. He did not stop running until he was outside the mansion, gasping for air. The next morning, Mark went over his footage. To his horror, the video revealed the entity's face in the mirror, speaking to him. His audience was both fascinated and terrified, and the video quickly received thousands of views. Mark, however, was haunted by the incident. He couldn't shake the sensation that the entity was still watching him. Strange things started happening over the next few weeks. Mark's reflection would move on its own, displaying sinister expressions and gestures. He received disturbing Snapchat messages from unknown accounts, all indicating that the entity was still with him. He started to see the entity in his dreams, standing silently at the foot of his bed. Desperate, Mark attempted to get rid of the mirror, but it always found its way back to him. The entity's presence became more intense, and Mark's sanity began to unravel. He isolated himself from his friends and family, fearing that the entity would harm them as well. One night, Mark resolved to confront the entity. He positioned his camera in front of the mirror and stared into it, challenging the entity to reveal itself. The reflection appeared instantly, its menacing grin widening. "Mark, you cannot escape me. You're mine forever," the entity hissed. In a final act of defiance, Mark smashed the mirror, shattering it into countless pieces. But as the glass fragments fell to the floor, he realized too late that the entity was not contained within the mirror. It had already taken hold in his mind. Mark vanished shortly afterward, leaving only cryptic messages and disturbing drawings. His friends and family looked for him, but he was never found. The mansion, now more infamous than ever, served as a chilling reminder of Mark's fate. The legend of the cursed mirror spread, and many people believed Mark's spirit was trapped inside the mansion, haunted by the entity he had unleashed. Those who dared to visit the mansion at midnight reported hearing whispers and seeing a ghostly figure in the shattered remains of the mirror. A cautionary tale of curiosity turned horror.